Yeah, I think this is an incredibly critical question. I mean, the reality is that there are literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the world that have to do economic engineering every day. And if you think about it from the policy sense, an example we talk about is kind of the lifting of 500 or 600 million people out of poverty and in China. And there's practical policymakers. I went to China for the first time in 1983. I lived there for 10 years. I saw this happening on that, and practical people had to make practical decisions about economics every day. And it happens, as you know now, I live in Africa, I live in Europe. Of course, we're both Canadians. And so there's a whole body of economic engineering that is going on out there every day. And as you said, it's not just the policymakers, also in private organizations. I work for a very large private organization. It has to both understand what's going on in the economy. It has to make its own reactions. We try to make a positive impact on it as well. So it's all economic engineering. The problem is certainly kind of since my graduate school for a few decades and back in the early 80s, I think academic economics is in a sense kind of not come to the party. So you've had all these people who've had to go out and do economic engineering, and they've done it, whether they have a theory about it or not. But the people that have done academic economics, in a sense, I think have become disassociated from the academic engineering, and that gulf became wider and wider and wider. I think it's only in the last 10 years we're starting to see that narrow, and the types of things that academic economists, certainly the most famous ones, are very practical problems, how to lift people out of poverty. Now we're talking about sustainable growth, we're talking about inclusive sort of growth, and those are sorts of new things. But for academics, it's a long way back, because certainly leading into the great financial crisis, you look at the academics, there was one, of course, famous macroeconomist, very famous, who taught me, and I won't name here, who declared in 2006 that macroeconomics was fully understood. And then yet we then entered into the gravest financial crisis since the Great Depression, which just shows no, it wasn't well understood on that. So that gulf between the academic economist and the engineering economist is still out there. As I said, I think the last decade we've seen a lot more practical thinking coming out of the academics, and that's good to see. But whether the academics are contributing or not, the people that are making policy, that are doing economics every day, they have no choice. They need to make decisions.